Suddenly you're in a grocery store and you can only remember how to say watermelon in one language. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'll be talking about how my English changed because of my Spanish. So I've been learning English since I was around 6 years old, and I think over the years I've reached a pretty good level. It's obviously not perfect, but I feel comfortable enough expressing myself, communicating with others, and also consuming content in English, books, movies, and so on. However, ever since I moved to Spain, I feel like my English has started transforming. Even now, saying it like that, I feel like there is a better way of saying it other than transforming, but that's the word that comes to mind, honestly. The thing is, my Spanish started influencing my English a lot. I think it's pretty common that when you move abroad and you immerse yourself into a new language, new culture, the languages in your head start to overlap and mix. Suddenly you're in a grocery store and you can only remember how to say watermelon in one language. But of course, that's not the one that you actually need in that moment. So in this video, I decided it would be fun to show you some of the phrases and expressions that I started using in English because of my Spanish. In principle. In Spanish, we say en principio to say something like as far as I know now or unless something changes. For example, en principio me va bien quedar a las 5. The meaning would be something like, for now, 5 sounds good to me, as in meeting at 5 works for me. But in Spanish, we used en principio a lot. So I automatically, because of that, started saying in English in principle a lot. Like, in principle, this sounds good. And even though technically, grammatically, it's correct, it sounds a bit awkward in English. I tell you one thing. In Spanish, when you're about to say something or ask something, you might say una cosa or te digo una cosa. At some point, I started translating that into English literally and saying one thing, something something, or I tell you one thing. I only realized how odd that sounded when one of my friends started laughing at me when she heard me say that, and she was like, what thing? I was honestly so confused when she asked me that because I'd gotten so used to saying it in Spanish that I invented the same thing in English, and it felt very natural to me. I don't say it. This one I believe can sound strange in English, but I just say it without even thinking, honestly. I don't mean that I literally cannot see something, I just mean that I'm not really convinced or I don't think that something will work. In Spanish we say no lo veo, and it literally means I don't see it. For example, you're going on a trip with your friends and one of you suggests an idea, but you don't really agree with it or you don't think that it will actually work, so you can say no lo veo or es que no lo veo. So I'll sometimes say I don't see it in English, and to me it makes perfect sense, although I know that in English it sounds a bit off. I'm going down now. When talking about public transport in Spanish, we usually use the verb bajar, which literally means to go down, to lower, or to descend. In English though, when your stop is coming up, you would say something like I'm about to get off. So get off is the phrasal verb that you need. I guess my brain knows that I need a phrasal verb while I'm speaking English, but it just gives me the wrong one. So I end up saying something like I'm about to go down or I'm going down now. The funny thing is that I first started doing it with Russian, but for example with take a bus. I'd literally translate take into Russian, взять, and in Russian it sounds so wrong because it sounds as if you were literally like picking up the bus as if it was like a toy. The first time I said that, my parents were very confused. They were like, what do you mean that you took the bus? But yeah, I guess it is what it is. Most of the times, from what I've seen, is that the reason why I do this is I cannot really find a good equivalent in the other language, so I just translate that phrase or expression quite literally. What scares me a little bit is that I do it unconsciously, to the point that sometimes I catch myself and I think, okay, this did not sound quite right. But the problem is that I cannot really tell what exactly is wrong with that sentence. I've always been proud of my English, but ever since I started becoming fluid in Spanish, and also because I use it daily, I realized that the languages that I use the most, which are English, Spanish, and Russian, started mixing together in my head, creating this big mess. I think most of the times it's actually fun and it's a good thing because that means that I feel comfortable using all of the 3 languages. But sometimes when the person that I'm talking to doesn't speak at least one of those languages, my speech and my expressions can feel like they're lacking or missing something. That's just my experience. I feel like there are so many moments when I can remember a specific word in the right language at that specific moment. It's a bit easier if the person doesn't speak Russian because nowadays I use English and Spanish more, and most of my friends speak both languages fluently, so they don't really mind when I drop in an English word while speaking Spanish or the other way around. I just feel like my thoughts run faster than my brain can keep up with, so I'll use whichever word comes to mind first in whichever language. The one person that really gets me is my best friend. We've been friends since we were 7 years old. We went to the same school in Moscow and we obviously spoke Russian to each other. Later she moved to Prague in England, so we started speaking English too. Eventually I moved to Spain, and a couple of years ago she actually moved here as well. By then it was already a mess of English and Russian when we speak to each other, and once she moved here we actually started introducing Spanish as well. Our conversations are always crazy and they probably sound weird to other people. Our parents are friends as well actually, and they're so amused whenever they hear us talk. But with her is who I feel the most comfortable with because I know she has the same crazy mix in her head. So no matter what language I use to talk, I know that she'll understand me perfectly, and that's, the reason why our conversations flow so easily. Even though it's sometimes messy, I believe that knowing different languages and being able to switch between them easily is a great advantage. The downside of that is that sometimes when I get tired, it's very hard to concentrate on using only one language because you need to obviously find for a specific word in that language and not in the language that just comes first to your mind. So from the outside, I believe it can look like I'm not that fluent or that I'm missing vocabulary. I start stuttering, pausing more, and also shortening my sentences. Do you know that Sofia Vergara mean when she says, "Do you know how smart I am in Spanish?" I just feel like that sometimes. I know that my English, Spanish, and Russian are good, but I feel like people cannot really tell sometimes. So yeah, I actually have always wanted to create a video like that to talk about what it feels like when you move abroad and your languages start mixing together in your head. I hope it was entertaining to you. It was only a couple of examples, but let me know if you want to hear more and if you have ever actually experienced the same thing. So thank you guys again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!